All right.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Krystal Lynn Couture. I'm a physical therapist and acupuncturist in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and I am the Pelvic Acu. Today, I am here with Dr. Ilana Harms from Oakland and San Francisco, California. She has an integrative medicine and acupuncture practice there, and she is our very first advanced certificate in pelvic care graduate. So, welcome, Ilana.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So we did our class together back in October of 2024, and you've been working diligently with the online classes to get your advanced certificate.
I have, and it was really exciting to be able to complete the work and to have the that balance of kind of online learning at my pace and also relevant to what I was doing in my practice, and also having that really beautiful space that you were able to create in the weekend hands-on workshop that just really took this knowledge information to the next level.
Right on. Thank you so much for saying that. Before we get deeper into what you're up to with pelvic care and really how that's
Yeah.
integrating in your practice, I really want to know about your journey as an acupuncturist, sort of leading up to this point.
Yeah, so I finished acupuncture school in, 2021,
Mhm.
which now feels like forever ago. And, when I finished school and I got licensed and I was thinking about my practice, I started the way most people start. I was like, I'll take anybody. And I'm really just excited to work with folks and to learn. And so I did that. And I feel like it was a really sweet opportunity to just find my footing, find my people, kind of really develop my practice in a way that's really reflective of me and not just an extension of school. I think a lot of times we spend, in California, you spend 3, 4, or 5 years in school. You get very set in the way that things are done there. And so to begin to actually like develop into your own practitioner is fun. And when I started, I was seeing kind of everybody, and I feel really lucky that my space in Oakland is actually in a suite that's shared with two pelvic floor physical therapists, is similar to your background. And we've always been incredibly um, supportive of each other and complimentary of each other's work and things like that. And so I was already starting to get some referrals from them for folks that they were working with that they saw would benefit from acupuncture. And as that was continuing to happen, I also eventually came across your work, and I was like, this would actually be perfect because I really want to learn about and be able to integrate pelvic health care in a way that is clinically informed and respectful of East Asian medicine, right? And I think a lot of what I was seeing before I found you was either all clinical and really focused to physical therapists, which is helpful, but not really my scope of practice, or all East Asian medicine and like not necessarily the level of integrative clinical care that I wanted to offer. And so finding this opportunity was just like chef's kiss. It was perfect timing. It was like the perfect kind of evolution of the practice that I was blooming into in the space that I work in. So that's kind of how I went from like, I treat everybody to, I still treat everybody, but I'm really honing in on all the facets of how pelvic care um, can truly help so many people, and having that skill set now has been incredible for my practice.
Absolutely. It sounds like for you, and this was my story as well, that it was sort of like the natural nature, natural innate space that we were in that sort of brought you into the interest of pelvic care. And then it became an interest, which developed into a passion, which has now developed into a specialty, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Super. So, was there like a turning point in your practice, in your life, when you were like, you got the yes for pelvic care and you were like, I absolutely have to do that? You definitely talked about like the gradual progression, but I want to know if there
Yeah.
was a yes moment.
Oh, that's such a good question. I don't know that I have like one yes story, but I do think what I was really starting to see was this very clear shift in frequency of patient concerns, right? And it kind of went from like, oh, headaches or oh, insomnia to like specific low back pain, specific sciatica, specific like pelvic concerns. And I actually had this beautiful, really sweet crop of patients that I supported in getting pregnant and supported them throughout pregnancy and then supported them through labor and then postpartum. And I think having that little like group of, I can't remember if it was 4 or 5 folks, all kind of come together literally within 6 weeks of each other. And I was like, this is it. Like, this is actually, I guess that is my story, right? Like, this is it. This is, I've been touching on it. I'm really seeing these trends and where pelvic care can be helpful. And then having this just really unified need at once. I'm like, yeah, I want to be able to do this in a really informed way, in a really effective way, and like know that I'm going to be able to treat these folks, obviously, before conception, through the whole process, postpartum, and then whatever happens next for them. Like, I'm so excited to be able to continue my care relationship with them and continue to support their pelvic health as their lives evolve.
Definitely. It's so cool. And it's really no secret, I think, in, acupuncture practices and even other types of healthcare practices that we sort of get like a trend of clients that come in like these cohorts. And particularly when it's fertility through, pregnancy, labor, postpartum, that's like a really long investment of care and time. And so it's cool that you were able to just be in that space and witness that. I experienced that early on as well in my practice. Now, I want to ask you a question about like the energy of attraction, because you weren't saying
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, I'm going to call in pelvic care practitioners at that clients at that point. You were saying like, okay, there's something here. And
Yeah.
yeah, so talk about that energy, like the field that you were in and how that sort of led to the attraction and the manifestation.
Yeah, I think for me, my previous life before acupuncture, I worked in tech, and a lot of the stuff that I did in tech was really like looking for trends, looking for themes, looking for, and so that's just who I am, and
Mhm.
so watching my practice evolve and develop and beginning to see these themes, beginning to see these trends at a little bit of a deeper level, where I'm like, okay, like all of these common complaints are coming in around the same time. They're all coming from the same area. Like, what's going on here, right? And so I think, to your question, like, what was the energy? What was I calling in? I think at first it was just kind of curiosity of like, hey, I'm noticing something, and then
Yes.
it became, what do I how do I do something with what I'm noticing? Right. And then that became for me the kind of exploration and the investigation of like, how do I learn more? Right. And then that's when I was like, oh, okay, like there's something here, but I'm not really finding what I'm looking for. Like, what exactly am I looking for? And I think it just, again, like really being incredibly open and seeking this a specific kind of training, education, and like continuing growth in this kind of pelvic care, right? And it's not, I think one of the things that I really love about the work that you've done and that I've done in your courses is, while it's absolutely pelvic focused in the kind of things we think top of mind of like, frequent urination or incontinence, things like that, right? There's also so much space in there for just like, or you've got this nagging low back pain that won't go away.
Yep.
You've got this like really tight piriformis or these rotators or these ads, and you're just like, and nothing, like you might get a quick relief. Like, I loved that side of it too. I think what I was a little bit nervous about as I was beginning to notice these trends and seek was like, I don't I don't want to just be pigeonholed into like incontinence care and like
Right.
um and pregnancy care. Not that I don't want to treat that. I absolutely love treating that, but there's so much more to pelvic, right? And so I think being able to learn with someone like you who has your background and kind of the approach that you took to your education courses allowed me to be like, Oh yeah, pelvic also applies to everybody and athletes and dads and young people. And like I think about my former coworkers when I was working in tech, and I'm like, so many of them, excuse me, just sit all day. They
Yeah.
sit all day and they're tight and they're tired and things hurt and they don't know why and they're, doing this and they're doing that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, come see me.
Yeah.
Come see me. It's actually like I think we can get you feeling better pretty quickly, pretty effectively, and pretty sustainably. Wouldn't
Right.
that be wonderful? Right. So like being able to really like sink into this idea that pelvic isn't just this very narrow band that we've kind of been like marketed from our doctors. Like it's so much bigger than that.
For sure, for sure. I love that. And you really worded that so eloquently. I love it. I want to know now, this is just kind of coming intuitively, but I want to know now
Yeah.
what transformation you experienced personally or professionally coming to the weekend.
Ooh, great question. Um, I think I loved our weekend. It was so sweet. It was a small group and we were really ready to be vulnerable with each other, which I think sometimes you go into a continuing ed weekend, you're kind of like, oh, how's this going to be? What are we going to do? And I really appreciated that. And I think that, being able to be vulnerable with the group and to be able to learn these techniques and to learn and practice um, very intimate care in a way that felt like this is a space for you to learn. There is no judgment. There is all this room for questions and there's room for curiosity and giggles and seriousness and like care and just really getting to practice that immediately and not just have the theory of like, oh, if someone cries on your table, this happens, right? Or if this happens, then that happens. But like getting to kind of experience a lot of those things in the weekend. I think it helped me as a practitioner in my own practice, my day to day, and just kind of reaffirming my approach and giving me a few more tools. And it also allowed me to just kind of have a little bit more, a deeper connection with how powerful this work can be, having experienced it myself. You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
I think that there's just when you're only kind of like book learning or even kind of video learning, like there's so much good information there, but like you really need that in-person experience where you're like, oh, okay, I've felt it.
Yeah.
I've actually felt it too. I'm not just thinking it, I'm feeling it. This is incredible. And now I feel, because I've had my own felt experience, that I am in a much better position to be a guide for my patients.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. As you kind of reflected back, I was obviously there for your weekend, so and very present.
Yeah.
So I know what was happening and what was processing. So it just really brought me back to that moment of the feels that you were feeling. And I got
Yeah.
chills. So it
Yeah.
feels like it has this energetic resonance, that has staying power, which just as a teacher, as a mentor, like I'm just, so humbled by that. That's so amazing. I want to know
Yeah.
a success story. I want to know one of your client success stories
Ooh.
since you've brought in pelvic care.
Ooh, that's a good question. So I have a patient that I've been working with for some time, and the kind of constant underlying thing has just been this like stubborn all my life low back pain, right? Kind of gets a little bit better, kind of gets a little work. And this person has a number, like they've got a chiropractor and they got a number of care team members. And sometimes I go in there, sometimes I'm kind of like, you've had enough work on that this week. I don't really want to jiggle it anymore. And I remember coming back from our training and um, really kind of our timing aligned where there was actually space for me to work on
Mhm.
my patient. Like they hadn't seen their chiro, they hadn't been seeing anybody else. I was like, okay, let's actually try this. And we actually needled the coccygeus.
I
And
told you, right?
I know. And I was like, she told me we're going to see. And like, I'm grateful. Like I have rapport with this patient. So I'm like, I really want to try this. my teacher said it's going to be really impactful. And also like, I love that you trust me to try this with you and like, and let me know. I really want to know, you know? And we did the work and the patient had a perfectly fine experience. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like nothing went bad. So that's good.
That's
And the
amazing.
next morning I got an email and it was just like, I don't know what you did. I feel amazing. But, you know, hopefully you don't have to do it again, but if you have to do it again, please do it again. Like this, I haven't felt this good since I was a teenager. And this person's perimenopausal now.
Wow.
Right. And I'm like, wow, yes, yes, this is the work. And this is and it's like it doesn't have to be this like long drawn out like 25 needles. I'm like, this was really like I think four needles and us kind of being together and just kind of like what is it like to be in this space and bring attention and allow energy and allow movement here. And like, oh, every time I like wake up to an email like that or a message like that, I'm just like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we know you've got the coccygeus in your toolkit, and that is one of your gems.
I
Do you
do.
have any other gems that are like, oh, this is another little pearl that I have?
Ooh, yeah, you know, but the coccygeus is like truly my favorite. I'm like, oh yes, that one forever. Um, I actually have oh my gosh, I'm gonna forget the name of it now. The upper inner thigh. You know the muscles better than I do. I'm like,
The
it's
psoas?
not with me, but no, not the psoas. So like the adductor
Oh, the pectineus.
magnus brevis, that the pectinus. So like, you know, when we're kind of coming in up on the upper spleen line and we grab and then we
Yeah,
needle down.
yeah.
That was actually, I was like, okay, like, you know, I might use this. And I have another like long time patient that I've been working with on a number of things. And there was something about their concern on a day that I saw that I was like, I'm gonna do these. I'm gonna
Hmm.
do these. Like I just came back from training, so I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Yep.
And another one, like that patient at the end of the session was like, I didn't even know I was holding tension there, but wow, do I feel different? And wow, do I feel better?
Hmm.
So I feel like there's like these little kind of I think the thing that I love most about the training is there's certainly so much more anatomical like just knowledge and reaffirmation that we got out of it, but it's also like it didn't have to be the whole other like, oh, this is another like year of school. It was like, here are refinements on things that you're already doing and channels you're using and kind of areas of the body that you're already working with. And like, what if we just really targeted these muscles
Yeah.
or this particular area at this time? You know, like I still have grab it really quick because it's right. I still have this guy for my goodie bag.
Yay.
And I literally, everybody, I'm like, you need to get one. This is amazing. Like you can sit on it, you can roll on it, you know. And so I I really love the little refinements in like really targeted muscle support, but also having a wider toolkit to recommend to my patients for the time in between,
Hmm.
right? Here's what
Hmm.
you can do between when I see you and the next time I see you, or when I see you and your other care providers see you. Like, let's make this last. Let's make this sustainable relief,
Yes.
right? I'm all about sustainable relief. Let's keep it. Let's not just make it like the, you know, one day after you see me. Let's keep it as long as possible. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those sustainable results come from like the lifestyle changes that we can integrate. And
Yeah.
Chinese medicine has some really cool, assets that we can bring in from the herbal perspective, but also from the lifestyle perspective that might be different from PT or Chiro or something like that. So I love that. And that's the key to getting people to progress is their investment in their own healthcare, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think one of the biggest shifts that I've had that is like just coming to me in real time is like I'm giving people more homework, you
Yeah.
know, in between sessions. And none of it's hard, you know, I'm not like write me an essay, but it's like, you know, I want you to use your ball or I want you to do the pelvic breath. How does that feel? And so much of it is really like homework around embodiment and noticing.
Yeah.
And even those little shifts, and like now people come back and they're like, I heard your voice in my head and I did this thing. And I'm like, that's wonderful. I'm like, I hope that it just becomes a habit so you don't have to hear my voice.
Right.
But like, I'm glad that you're thinking of this and it's not just the acupuncturist is going to fix me. It's
Yes.
we're in this together and we're going to help me feel better together.
Love that. Mic drop. Boom.
Right?
Yeah. So, you talked a lot about kind of the orthopedic approach that is, one of
Yeah.
the facets, but that we teach, but I'm really curious if you've brought in the integration of some of the other facets with Spirit of the Points or with, utilizing those TCM patterns in combo with other things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I know we talked about this when I was in person. So, my Chinese medicine training is more kind of TCM, a little bit less five element. But what I have taken from the Spirit of the Points and the five elements perspective is for the patients that are open to it, and quite a few of mine are like kind of sharing a little bit more with them about the energetics of the point, like why we're using these points and like what it means to use them, and allowing them to kind of just contemplate while I'm doing the work that I'm doing. Like, this is really about, opening up the channels or this pivot point or just like flow and allowing energy to move in a way. And I really love um, just some of the insights that folks have on their own when I'm just kind of sharing like the name of a point and like the general kind of idea behind it. So
Mhm.
that's been a lot of fun. I do use the TCM patterns from time to time, and I actually I love the nutrition stuff.
Right?
So I've been like, okay, it's spring. We need to be doing, and how can we integrate like the energetics of the season with like whatever your concern is? And like, can
Yes.
we add stuff in? Like, I'm really leaning into um continued encouragement of like uh expanding nutrition for health,
Yeah.
right? I feel like a lot of folks that I work with are very much under the guise that like in order to be healthy, we need to restrict our nutrition. And
Right.
I'm like, oh no, we don't have to restrict it. We need to expand it.
Hmm.
We need to expand it with more good stuff.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Um, so it's been really, really nice to have those resources from your training as a reminder and to kind of tap into like, yes, like these are the energetics of this and moving these things around and dealing with damp or whatever.
Yes.
Well, I have a wide variety of folks that I work with, but the nutrition integration has been really, really a bit of a game changer for some of my folks that were kind of just like, okay, the acu's working. I'm doing my homework. What's next? And I'm like,
Hmm.
yes,
Yeah.
let's do
Let's make
nutrition.
the change. Let's change the internal energetics and get those organ systems
Yes,
within the body kingdom functioning, yeah, at optimal,
yes,
right? Or as close to optimal as
yeah, yeah.
yeah, fabulous. So, my last question for today is what would you say to other acupuncturists who are considering pelvic care or they're watching today and maybe they don't really know what pelvic care is, but they're here. So, what would you say to other
Yeah.
acupuncturists?
Yeah. So I would say, there are certain acupuncture training specialties that are like really, really, really focused, right? And I think one of the things that I love about pelvic is that while it is focused on a region of the body, it is applicable for, I would say, at least 70% of the types of complaints we get in our clinic, right? Think about the types of complaints that um, the most research has been done on in English, right? We know in China they've been doing research for a long time, but when you look at like what's approved by insurance, it's low back pain, hip pain, knee pain,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And pelvic care can help with that. It does help with that. Pelvic care can help with that in a way that your standard orthopedic care may not be able to. It can also complement the other things that are being done, right? So again, like it was a learning curve for me, and I'm so glad that I did it, and I'm so glad that like having gone through this training now, it has become very clear that like pelvic care, again, isn't, it's not just like incontinence and postpartum and labor prep. It is so many other things. It is, allowing someone to go through menopause pain free. It's pain free sex. It is satisfying sex. It is being able to go to the bathroom when you want to and you need to, rather than having to change your life because you don't have control over that. It's being able to sit when you want to sit and walk when you want to walk and do the activities you want to do. Like that to me, I think everybody would benefit from pelvic care. I think like pelvic care training, and pelvic like, receiving, and I don't think that it is a pigeonhole. And I want to be really clear here too, because I think the other thing folks tend to think a lot when they think about pelvic care is it has to be women's health.
Right.
And it doesn't.
Yeah.
I have plenty of men and folks who identify as men on my caseload who absolutely benefit from pelvic care. And in no way do I feel like I need to turn them away or send them somewhere else. And there's been, at least where I am in the Bay Area, there's been a really big upsurge in men actually seeking care for stuff that they may have been dealing with for quite some time. Right. And like, what a beautiful way to be able to support these folks with a level of understanding and training and care and utilizing a medicine that is truly whole person, whole body, whole spirit. Who's with me today? And it's not just go do your 8 PT treatments where they're going to have you do these motions and then you're all better. It's like, right. No, like, let's get into it. Like, what are you holding? Let us be, we can start with the stuff that has the immediate results of like, I felt that it feels better, but then we get to go to that next level of let's actually help you be better.
Yes. Yeah. Right on. Ilana, I really thank you for your presence and your voice. It's amazing to come back and connect with practitioners who have been with my training and hear their unique voice, their unique perspective, and how they've taken the sacred medicine and made it, theirs. I really love that. And I'm so fascinated by listening to you and watching your journey and hearing your expansion in adding pelvic care to your practice as one of really your primary specialties. It's amazing. And I just want to congratulate you and, say it's been an honor to get to know you. And thank you for trusting me to be your teacher in this process.
Oh yeah, it's been, I'm so grateful. And just thank you so much for your passion and wanting to share this topic and your experience, because I think that, it's one that we don't spend a lot of time on. And there's a very specific facet that we focus on, we learn in school, but everyone has a pelvis,
right?
And being able to help as many people as possible, as effectively as possible through educators like you and training like yours, like that helps us bring the medicine into the world more and make so much more of a difference. So I'm so pleased and honored and humbled and thrilled to have been on this journey and to continue to be on this journey and to be on the map now and, to continue to be a part of the pelvic acu community, because I think that there's so much more work we can do and, ways that we can continue to improve everyone's health.
Absolutely. I feel like we're just radiating like love energy from our hearts, from the pelvis, from the Baomai to everyone who is receiving this. So that's really great. If people are listening and they want to get in touch with you, how would they do that? You're in the Bay Area, so let us know how they can get in touch.
Yeah, so I do have a website. It's www.ilanaharms.com, and I figure we'll probably put that in notes somewhere. You can also find me on Instagram at drharms.acupuncture. Those are the two best ways. I do have a monthly newsletter where I share tips and tricks and tidbits as they come up, and that's open to anybody. There's signups on my website, but yeah, the best way would be to find me on my website or find me on my Instagram and reach out. I'm always open to new clients and new connections, new referral partners, and just continuing to spread the knowledge, spread the love, and spread the health.
Thank you so much.